Welcome to our Thursday, December 11th, 2025, 6 p.m. Cabrillo Unified School Board meeting. This is our last meeting of 2025, and I would like to call it to order. Let's go to roll call.
Okay. Carmen?
Present.
Lisette?
Here.
Pete?
Here.
Brianna?
Here.
Mary Beth?
Here.
Maverick?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay, this takes us to item C, Pledge of Allegiance. Would one of our school board student board members like to lead the pledge? All right. Thank you. Our next item, D, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, as presented?
So moved.
I'll second. All right. Rosie, can you proceed with the vote?
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
This takes us to item number 2.
Spotlight on the coast side.
Spotlight on the coast side.
Celebrating our success. So I'm going to jump in here because we're going to recognize our board president, Carmen Daniel, for her exceptional leadership and dedicated service as the board president of the governing board in 2025, acknowledging her commitment to collaborative governance, student-centered decision-making, and strengthening partnership across the Cabrillo Unified community. So Carmen, thank you for leading this group this past year.
Thank you. All right. Oh, I have to come up. Oh. Right, our next item is B2B, the Student Board Members Report. We'll start with Half Moon Bay High School.
Hi everyone. I hope your December is going well. Definitely looking forward to the holidays and the New Year's. I hope you guys are too. Anyways, getting into it. We talked last meeting about CAS participation, so I'm just going to start with that. Mixed reports. So I talked with everyone in leadership plus a lot of just kids around campus. I tried to talk to as many people as I could, and the main consensus was that the only real way to get people to do it would be if it was graded or it was worth extra credit. Like, I asked everyone, like a pizza party, ice cream party, any type of party, movie party. They're like, nah, because especially sometimes it's close to finals and people just don't want to try on it. But if it was for extra credit, like what I was thinking was, let's say you got a 70%, that would be 2 points of extra credit, or 80%, 3 points of extra credit. I think that definitely, a lot of kids said that would motivate them more to do better on it. Or if it was like obviously graded, like you got 15 out of 18, so you get that grade or something. But overall, people said they would be more willing to try on it if it was graded, but I don't know, there was not much motivation for it. Kids just aren't wanting to do it. It's a hard test. I've taken it. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Other than that, one thing I wanted to mention is that I have seen trash cans on the hill, and I know I was talking about that earlier in the year. So I think that's really cool. And kids have come up to me and been like, yeah, walking up the hill now, it's a lot nicer, and they've already noticed less trash. So I think that's definitely something cool. And I wanted to say thank you about that. Also, leadership, just some talk about leadership. Not too much coming up right now. In January, we're going to have some fun, like a dance and an assembly and stuff. But for now, only thing really going on is in class on the day of the final, we're going to have a nice Secret Santa gift exchange plus a potluck, which should be very fun. I've already gotten my gift. Can't disclose who, but got my gift. It should be pretty good. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. This week's kind of dead week at the high school, so there's not much homework, just studying for finals. I think I'm pretty prepared, and I think everyone else is. I'm ready to tackle the finals and get them over with and start Christmas break. Yeah, that's all I got. And if you have any questions about the cast, please let me know.
Thank you, Maverick. Martin.
Okay, the year is wrapping up, so let's go through the last bit of news from Pilarcitos we have before we see each other next year. This Wednesday, a few students came to the DMV and all were successful in bringing the right documents, and all of them had successful appointments. Pilarcitos Coyote Foundation has finally, its official website is up. It's pilarcitoscoyotefoundation.org, and it's running, and we've already, and it's accepting donations, and we've already received our first $1,000 donation. I don't exactly have the name of that person, but it happened, so we're happy about that. Next Monday, our hiking class is excited to work with the people from the San Francisco Watershed Education Program to do a 6-mile hike out to view the Pilarcitos Lake and learn about the Peninsula Watershed. And then we have several students signed up to take college classes at CSM and Skyline next semester, one of which is taking the Automotive Technology program at Skyline, and another is going to go into real estate at CSM. And that's all.
Thank you, Martin. That's fantastic. Great news. Go to our next page. Sorry. Number 3, item 3, annual governing board organization. So we've got 5 items to go through. This covers the election of governing board officers to serve from December 2025 through December 2026. And that's an action. So our first item is, let's see here, action 1, to elect a president.
I motion to elect Lisette.
I second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, discussion? Should we vote? No? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Before moving, sorry, Lisette, do you accept the office? Sorry.
We do, yes, and
Thank you.
I hope we can all work together and, make this all work, because even though I'll be the president, I'm just 1 out of 5, so thank you.
Thank you, Lisette. Okay, now, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
All right, our next item is to elect a vice president.
I move to elect Pete for vice president. Second that motion?
And then I accept, is that correct? Yeah. All right, I accept.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Lisette. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
All right, our next action is to elect a clerk.
I motion to elect, Brianna LaFontaine, I'm sorry.
I second that.
I accept.
Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Lisette. Thank you, Pete. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
All right. Our next item is to appoint the superintendent as secretary to the board. We need a motion.
Second that motion? No. Oh, I move to elect our superintendent as the secretary of the board.
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
Right. Our next item or action is to authorize the president, vice president, clerk to the governing board, and/or secretary as signatories for the governing board. Can I have a motion?
So moved for what you just said.
Second.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you, Brianna. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
Thank you. And that takes us to item 3B, approval of the schedule of regular governing board meetings for the year 2026. This is an action item. Oh, yeah. Can we put the dates on the screen?
So the dates that are here are regularly the second Thursday of the month, except for January 22nd, August 20th, and December 15th. The January 22nd is because we are back from the break and we need some time to prepare the agenda. The August 20th is because the week before is the first day of school and we need to prepare for first day of school. And the December meeting is on a Tuesday. We're proposing on a Tuesday because it's a year of elections and new officers don't take office until the second Friday of December. And the first interim has to be approved by December 15th. So that's why we are doing a Tuesday.
Walk me through that again. What was the deal with the elections?
Next year is elections year and officers don't take office until the second Friday of December.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it has to be after the second Friday,
Okay.
but before the 15th or the 15th. Or unless you want to have two meetings. We can discuss now. Oh, no, a motion and second, and then we can discuss.
I move to
Second.
approve the. I'm good with this. No two meetings. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Do we need to vote now? Or, sorry.
We good with all the others? All right. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
All right, this takes us to item 3C, designation of governing board representatives to committees and commissions for the year 2026. We need a motion.
What are we motioning?
Motion first or say the committees first?
Should we discuss first who's going to be on the
Yeah.
committees and then
Because we
do the
wouldn't
motion?
approve.
Because we don't
anyone.
have a proposal, it's just open.
Oh,
for-
sorry. Okay. Discussion, okay.
My only question is if I'm interested in a particular committee, I don't know if I will be able to attend because of my work schedule, and I work 12-hour shifts, so on my work days, it's almost impossible.
And that's why we asked the board, 2 board members per committee. And so there would be that opportunity to, and not only that, but a point person. So parents know who that point person might be. If they can't also join, they can email as well.
Well, and I think a couple of these, we know what the, like, budget advisory is Wednesdays, 6:30 for, I don't know how many times a year.
4 times a year.
4 times a year, 6:30
District, yeah.
Wednesdays. PTO Alliance is normally Wednesdays at 10 a.m. DLACs in the evening.
4 times a year
Four
as well.
times a
I
year.
don't know what day.
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays?
Wednesdays at what time? 6? Okay, 6 p.m. Wednesdays.
And the San Mateo County Committee on
already-
School District Organization is once a year in November. And it's been on a Monday, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's not Mary Beth? Or
That was Carmen and
Oh, this is different. That's, remember when Carmen, she was talking about the boundaries?
Yep.
They decide on school boundaries for our county.
okay,
It's just a one meeting a year thing.
okay.
It's different.
And how about San Mateo County Committee on School District Organization?
That's what I was talking about.
No, I was asking about number 3.
Oh, number 3? Well, I'm on the county.
That's what I was, okay. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
you.
already on the county and a state delegate, so it makes sense for me to stay on that one, I
To
think.
continue that one there.
Do you have to be do you have to be a delegate to do this?
No?
If they're-
No, I mean, I know you and Carmen come to those meetings a lot too, so.
Okay.
I just try to report on it in my public
Yeah, yeah.
comments, right? So,
I was just
but it doesn't
curious.
matter. Yeah,
So
I
why
don't have
why
to
don't
stay on
you all
that.
think about one that you would like to be a part of? And we'll
One.
start there, right? We'll start with the one, right?
I'd
So-
like to volunteer for the DLAC.
Okay.
I want to stay on Budget Advisory.
I would also like the budget advisory.
I'm happy to stay on the boundary committee.
I can do alternate for that. Or anybody, I don't care. I can stay on the CSBA thing. But I don't mind if someone else wants to do it.
need a second person for the San Mateo County School Board Associations and also for the PTO Alliance.
And DLAC, right?
I said I'd be second to Carmen on the,
On number 1.
yeah. Yep.
So number 1, it would be Carmen and Mary Beth. On number 2, it would be Pete and Brianna.
I have a question.
Yep.
Even though my first choice is DLAC, I would really like to start participating more in that budget advisory committee. How would that work?
We can't have 3.
Could I just,
I mean, I want to be a part of that, but. I want to be a part of it, but if it's an interest of yours, I'm happy to give it to you.
And, okay, I mean, and I've been on it the longest, so I probably should give it up first. If you guys make
Okay,
the meeting.
yeah, I'm happy to do that. If you're okay with it.
So Pete, so it would be Pete and Carmen on the Budget Advisory Committee.
Pete and Lizette.
Pete and
Lisette.
Lisette. I'm sorry, yes, Pete and Lisette on the Budget Advisory Committee. And then San Mateo County Board would be, Mary Beth would continue on that. District EL,
Oh, wait, so number 3 it already has 2?
no.
We
just
only
one.
have
Oh,
one, Mary
then
Beth.
can I be the second one?
You can be the second one.
Okay.
So it's Mary Beth and Brianna. And on the DLAC, currently I have Lisette. And on the PTO, I have nobody.
Me?
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. PTO, Brianna. I know you were on there, but
You hadn't said it yet.
yeah,
I
yeah.
had. Oh, no, I hadn't. You're right. I was waiting to see. Yeah, because my budget advisory got taken away. Not taken away. Sorry. It's not mine. I just feel very close to it. Can I do DLAC?
Sure, great.
Well, I'm PTO.
Yeah, PTO.
I can make.
And we're going to do 2
10 a.m.
each?
Wednesday.
Is that,
If we can do 2 each, yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, parent PTO at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. I know, like I can do, but
I would like to do the PTO too, if it's okay with everybody else. That would be my second. Okay.
Brianna,
We have 2 for everybody?
are you okay? I can give it up.
am okay. I'm okay. We did. Sorry. This starts in
January.
January.
I'm gonna have Rosie go back and just sort of, do a roll call on what we heard here.
All right, so for number 1, the San Mateo County Committee on School District Organization, I have Carmen as first and Mary Beth as second. Budget Advisory Committee, Pete and Lisette. The San Mateo County Schools Boards Association and the other commitments are Mary Beth and Brianna. The DLAC, Lisette and Brianna, and the PTO Alliance, Brianna and Pete.
Can I just I have a question about Budget Advisory Committee, since I won't be there. Can I like still get information? Like, okay, I can still like meet with Jennifer to break
Absolutely.
things down.
My staff is
Okay.
here to help support the
Okay.
board.
Are we all good with this? All right, so now let's do vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. This item passes 5. Oh, sorry, we need a motion.
I move.
Brianna, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Lisette. Now, let's do the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2.
Right, thank you. And thank you everyone for their committee time they've spent on the committees last year. Okay, item 3D, review of annual remuneration and reimbursement and other benefits to board members. All right, is a possible action?
It's possible action if you all agree to, well, if we have 3 votes to increase the monthly reimbursement, remuneration for
Do we need a motion before we discuss?
I move that we increase it like we have done the last couple of years.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mary Beth, thank you. I need a second.
I second.
Any discussion on this item?
I just want to publicly say that this is, if like you aren't looking at it's $13. It's like $13.
It's a 14.
Oh, sorry, 14.
14.59.
Yes.
A total $306.31
A year.
monthly.
And
Yeah.
I might just speak a little bit to the history on this. When I first joined the board didn't take any compensation. But then we realized that it might be a disincentive to some people in our community that might need that money to maybe get a babysitter or something while they're here. And we felt like we were maybe blocking out a part of our community. And so we then instituted it, and we've been taking the 5%, whatever, $14, $13 a year ever since. And we're hoping that can, and we don't have to take it. You can take it if you want. You don't have to take it. You can take it and you can give it to charity, whatever you want to do. So that's what we decided to do, that it should be up to the board members. And that was our reasoning.
No more questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. So this item passes 5+2.
Right, thank you, Rosie. I would like a 5-minute recess. Wait, did I skip something? No.
Okay.
Brianna, we have to rearrange the name
Oh, yeah.
tags.
Okay, thank you. I don't love recesses, but I got it. I forgot.
All right, can I have a motion and second for the
Yeah,
break?
musical chairs. All right,
Second.
all right.
Carmen and Brianna, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5+2 will, in 5 minutes.
It's 4A, general certification and approval of the CUSD first interim financial report, fiscal year 25-26. And Mr. Ramon, Dr. Ramon, would you like to introduce us to this?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up our CBO, Jennifer Marsh, who will provide the first financial report to the board.
Good evening, everybody. So tonight I'm here to present to you the 2025-26 first interim financial report. And we will do a quick overview of what the interim budget report is, an updated multi-year projection, the budget versus first interim variances and the reasons for those variances, property taxes, reserves for economic uncertainties, and some next steps after our first interim. I've shown you this slide before. This is our budget timeline. We're currently in the bottom of this picture, December 15th, where the audit report, which will be coming soon, and the first interim report is presented and due by December 15th. And then up next will be the second interim report, which will be presented by March 15th. So what is the first interim budget report? The first interim details changes to the 2025-26 adopted budget in accordance with state adopted criteria and standards. It's the actual financial data from July 1st through October 31st, 2025, with revised projections for the remainder of the fiscal year. Requires certification for the district's ability to meet its financial obligations for the current year and 2 following years. After first interim, the second interim covers the actual expenditures and revenues from July 1st through January 31st and updates projections for the balance of that year. And if needed, a third interim covers July 1st through April 30th. We're going to start with our multi-year projections tonight, also known as MYP. These are a snapshot in time as of October 31st, and based on assumptions that we know at that time. It's the current year and 2 following years. And it's on the next slide. And so the MYP is unrestricted resources only on this sheet. And projections are based on district assumptions and other factors developed by various state agencies and outside sources. For revenue, an assumption of ours, the district, is a 2.5% annual growth in property taxes year after year. Expenditures, we project a 2% step and column increase in salaries year after year, 5% health and welfare increase, and along with some other projections and assumptions that we use that go into the LCFF calculator to then develop what the LCF funding is. I want to draw your attention to a few areas on this sheet. I'm often asked, are we deficit spending, and where would we find that line? That would be the net increase, decrease, and fund balance. So where you see in the 2025-26, you see a negative red 521,000. That would be our deficit. And in out years, we are not projecting deficit spending. Also, going down to the section below that, you can see that we are meeting our 3% required reserves in each of the 3 years, and the undesignated fund balance after meeting the reserves is on the line right below that. So you can see there's a small balance undesignated after 3% reserve. And at the bottom of this sheet is our total available general fund reserves, the additional Fund 17 reserves, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, and what those total available reserves are in dollars and in percentage, and then what the projection is for the following 2 years. The next slide. Okay, so the next few slides, I have a little snapshot here of what the unrestricted Fund 01 only, and the changes, the variances between adopted budget and first interim. And so on this sheet, this is revenues, and the variance of 312,000 is due to the updated property tax projections being lower than budgeted. Again, I have a little bit more information in a minute about that. And the next slide. And these are the expenditures for the general fund, unrestricted only. And what has changed since budget adoption in May of 2025. And it lists out the variances and the different categories here. So we've adjusted salaries and benefits to reflect the actual projected costs. And also restricted accounts have had carryover posted, and budgets were increased accordingly within books, supplies, and professional services. And then on the next slide, we have the transfers out that are listed here are to the Food Service Fund 13, where expenditures exceed revenue, and we have to have a contribution from the general fund to balance that fund. And then on the line below that, the contributions, there are contributions to restricted resources, and those increased $663,000 since budget adoption to adjust closer to projected actual costs. Those contributions are to the special education program, the $6.5 million, maintenance department, $2.5 million, and transportation department, $500,000. And so this is our 2025-26 fund balance, general fund unrestricted. You can see here that due to the decrease in revenue and increase in expenditures, the ending fund balance decreased $1.5 million, with an ending balance of $1,676,107, and meets the 3% required reserve for economic uncertainties and an undesignated balance of $28,000. And again, another just comparison from adopted budget to first interim and those variances. Okay. And this is the total general fund revenue broken down by revenue source. And this diagram actually represents unrestricted and restricted total fund balances. So the LCFF revenue is for general purposes, such as property taxes, state aid, education protection account. Federal revenue is the district must follow specific grant guidelines using those funds, such as our titles, migrant funds. Other state revenue are state funds that are not part of state aid, such as lottery, special education, our block grants, some CTE grants, strong workforce. And other local revenue are funds received from local sources, such as parcel tax, CEF, PTOs, Boys and Girls Club, and any general donations. And then we have our general fund expenditures. And 74.8% of the budget is spent on salaries and benefits. So that includes certificated, classified, and administration is included in these totals. And also 16.5% is spent on services, which includes utilities, contracted services, special ed services, legal services, liability insurance, and so on. Okay, next slide. Okay, my bucket slide. So this is how we're funded. Cabrillo continues to be community funded, and projections do not show us flipping back to LCFF funded in the next 3 years. On the first little buckets, when property taxes don't fill the bucket, the state makes up the shortfall with state aid up to the LCFF funding level. Our LCFF funding level is the $31,230,892. But if property taxes fill the bucket and overflow, the district keeps the overflow money and only receives a minimum amount of state aid. So our property taxes are $35,611,043, which is an excess property tax of a little over $4.3 million. So we are overflowing that bucket by $4.3 million. Okay, so San Mateo County Office of Ed provides the district with property tax projections twice a year, in November and April for that fiscal year. And actual property taxes are reported in August in the annual report. The P2 report received in April is the most recent information to use while developing the budget for the following year when we develop it in May. So this gets a little bit confusing, but I want to explain what has happened here in our district over the last year. So in April, we received P2, and that was for the 24-25 year. But at that time, we are developing the budget for 25-26. So that's the most recent information we have, and we increased our projections and use those for estimated actuals for 24-25. added 2.5% to that to project what our budget would be for 25-26, which is down below in the first box. Then in August, the annual report came in, and that was $448,000 less than what P2 projected. So then we updated our unaudited actuals for 24-25 and reflected that $448,000 decrease. But the budget for 25-26 had already been set, and the impact of that higher number impacted our budget. So now, in November of 2025, we received our P1 for property taxes for this year, and they're $311,000 less than what we had budgeted. Now that's what you've seen earlier slide, and we've updated a first interim to reflect that. But the other important factor to monitor is that the projected annual growth using the 25-26 P1 report, there is actually a projected annual growth of 2.93% over the annual report. So we did receive an increase in property taxes, but it just wasn't enough to get to what we budgeted. So hopefully that makes sense. And then reserves for economic uncertainties, where the minimum required savings that every California school district must keep in its general fund to ensure financial stability when unexpected events occur. These reserves act as the district's rainy day fund, protecting core programs and operations from sudden changes in revenue or unforeseen expenditures. Under Ed Code, districts must maintain at least 3% of total general fund expenditures. And that's 3% of Fund 01 unrestricted and restricted total. And here is what our CUSD reserves are. So at first interim, the balance in Fund 01, general fund, is $1.6 million, which is 3.05%. And we still have a little over $3.5 million in Fund 17. Fund 17 is a special reserve fund for other than capital outlay, which equates to 6.61%. So the total reserve for 25-26 first interim is 9.66%. We do have a board policy minimum reserve of 16%. And that has been our goal, and we aim to reach that goal. So I want to just point out that the money in Fund 17 still counts towards the general fund reserve for economic uncertainties for minimum reserve compliance. The REU can be met with the combined balances of Fund 01 and Fund 17. As long as the total of the two funds meets or exceeds the 3%, the district satisfies the reserve requirement for positive certification. And I am presenting you a report for positive certification tonight, and staff requests board approval for the 25-26 first interim report with a positive certification.
Thank you, Jennifer. Do I have a motion to, oh no, wait,
I'll move to approve.
to approve, yeah. Any second?
Second.
Now we could have, anyone have any questions?
I got a couple questions. You know how we came short with the taxes from what was expected, and we've been putting 2.5%, we're assuming 2.5% in our growth. What was that? Was it less than 2.5%? Obviously. I guess my question is, should we still have that number be 2.5%?
So the
assumption? I think it used to be 2, but
no, it still was quite an increase. So you're asking me what was the actual increase that we received last year? I think it was a little over 7%, actually, if I remember. It was still a significant increase. It was just that the P2 projections that the county provided us reflected a lot more than what actually came in.
okay.
And even now, you know, between last year's annual report and P1 right now, it's a 2.93% increase.
Okay.
So I don't think that the
Okay, good.
2.5% is a problem.
Okay, good. And then I just wanted to say, I like how you put in here that the 16% is 2 months of expenses, because I remember back in the day when we barely had 3%, people would say like, oh, you have 3%, what's the problem? But 3% is like 3 weeks of payroll.
It's not much.
Like, it's like nothing. So even the 16% is only 2 months of expenses. So anyway, I like that you put it in there, because otherwise, what does 16% mean? But it means we have 2 months of payroll, you know?
Yes.
So I think that's really great. So thanks for adding that.
Thank you.
I more had like a comment for us, just to say, since we can never talk about things. So Fund 13,
Food service?
Yeah, food services. Okay. So we are contributing $300,000 to that from our general fund, which is about 1% in salaries. And that is just because of the conference and the conversation around what our lunches are. So that's one of those kind of mandates that isn't fully funded at this point. So we are required to have free breakfast and lunch, but we get a certain portion back, but not 300,000. Like, we have to add in. And I was emailing with a Manteca food services head person, and we do not get back as much percentage as their district does, because our free and reduced lunch numbers are less. And it is one of those things where we know that not everyone who would qualify for free and reduced lunch is filling out the form. And this was like a real number, a significant number to really, I believe that we should prioritize how we can really increase the people filling out that form, especially like at the high school. We lost our Title I funding because that number went so low, and most of these families are not leaving, from elementary school when we still have those numbers to high school. So I just think it's something, I don't know how, I'm sure our district administration, but I just as a board, even when we're talking to people, fill out the form, that it's a % of salary every year that we're having to transfer over, that could be decreased by more people that we know could qualify to help us receive a larger reimbursement. So that's just something I wanted to point out and discuss.
So my apologies, because normally I'd try to meet with you, and I feel like we have not had a chance to connect. So I do have some questions, and hopefully that they won't blindside you. But so just a couple ones. What's the total, and do you know the total that's in Fund 40 now?
I think it's 3.8 million.
3.8 million, okay. And we have been using that as a de facto reserve fund up to this point. Does it make sense, because if the target's 16%, and I know that's sort of internal, but does it make any sense at all to move some of those funds out of Fund 40 to hit that 16%, or it doesn't make any difference really in terms of how we can utilize those funds?
No, it does make sense. It would help us reach that goal of 16%. It also helps our fiscal health overall as we're going out for our credit rating.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, for our bond issuances. So no, it does make sense to be able to move some of that.
Is that something we should just, I'm not sure what to do with that. Is that something we should discuss in terms of the importance of hitting that 16% for these other reasons that we're talking about?
I think that would be something that we should
That's
discuss
right.
about the priorities of, personally, 16% isn't a priority when we have other things that we still need to address. But a conversation, I think, yes, definitely. But I would love for us to have that. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I mean, my thought on it is if we can hit that 16%, it would help with things like more preferable rates on our bonds. That would save the district money in the long term. And, you know, that doesn't mean we can't use those funds, but it just means where are those funds sitting? And if it helps us financially, if they're sitting in a different fund, that'd be my thought on it.
Fund 17, capital outlay, right now, Fund 40 is capital outlay, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Fund
that would
17
be a
is-
major change in what we could use that money for. If we move it to one, we couldn't use capital outlay. Like right now, we can use it towards our buildings, and it was received due to construction lawsuit.
But there's still flexibility in terms of moving it if we needed to, right? Once you move it, it's not that you can't move it back.
Well, and we've already moved. I mean, that's how we got Fund 17, was moving that money.
Right.
I mean, we've already done that.
So I don't know. I just think it's something to consider. But we don't have to decide now. But another question, employee benefits, that was higher than projected. And obviously, we had more investment in that than we anticipated overall. But what percentage or how much of that represents new hires, let's say, and or represents something that we didn't foresee? Like, for example, their healthcare costs go up, or
Where I saw the increases, the discrepancies, I guess the variances, was in STRS and PERS. And I really don't know yet. I need to take the time and go back. So again, a reminder, we're working on a new financial system. Not only am I working on what's coming out of it, but, you know, HR is using it, personnel for what's going into it. And I'm not really positive how that happened, because that's how a budget was developed on, was our new financial system. I don't know if maybe there was a little glitch in the system, there was a percentage wasn't calculated correctly, but that's where I found the discrepancies, was in STRS and PERS,
okay.
that not being budgeted.
Okay. Yeah, because I did notice that it seemed like it was somewhat off compared to the other ones, so I was curious. Okay, let's see. Then the other question I had is, we are in deficit spending. It's not a crisis. Obviously, it's about $500,000. But do we have a sense, and I guess maybe this might be a question for you, do we have a sense that over the next fiscal year, the way I've been thinking about this is you're trying to get your team in place. So you've made some hires that I think we've all supported to make sure that that's happened. But now going forward, how should we look at the next fiscal year in terms of that? Are we confident that we're not going to be deficit spending in the near future? And if so, can you sort of walk us through that? Or is that still a possibility? I am concerned only because, it's not dark days. We have plenty of revenue coming in, and we are deficit spending. So that is a concern of mine. If it was a situation where, the financials were off and we had to deficit spend, that would make sense. But so I just want to get a sense of where we are with this.
Yeah, so what I will say is the team is in place. We've reduced management positions this year. We've increased services to students and sites. I'll use the counselors at the elementary sites as one example, right? We do need to look at our contracts, so that's something that we've been sitting in cabinet looking at what we're going to renew next year, what we're not going to renew. Some of our contracts are one-time increases because it's a new system, and you got to pay more up front, and then after that, it should wind down. But we have a list of things that we're looking at currently, and I feel confident that we won't be deficit spending. But it's something that's going to take some time to get through, and for people to understand that, I want a small, mighty, great office staff, right? And we have that. All the confidence in Jennifer, all the confidence in Israel, of them managing their departments. And we've tightened the belt. Again, we're looking at staffing numbers coming out here in January. We'll be looking at the high school numbers. We'll be looking at the middle school numbers. We'll be looking at elementary numbers. And we're going to follow this all the way through. We had an increase in TK and K students. I'm hoping more kids come in. But is that a bubble? So working with our demographers and the staff members that do projections for us for enrollment. So that'll come out in January as well. So as I've explained before, in January, you finish the year strong, but at the same time, you have a separate train that's planning on what we need to do for the upcoming year. So yes, to answer your question, I don't believe in deficit spending.
Yeah.
Right, and we will reduce where we can and everywhere we can. Some of the money that you see there in increases in services are dollars we have not used, that have been sitting there that are restricted. And so we're looking at spending those down as much as possible where we can. And these two have been working on that and trying to shift things and make sure that we save every penny for our students and staff at school sites.
Yeah, because, there are times where it makes sense to do it. That you're trying to get a house in order, or, it's going to be temporary. And I feel like I don't have a sense of what it is going to be and what we can expect going forward. So let's continue that conversation, because I would like to get a better sense of that. One last question. I'm not exactly sure of the terminology, so I apologize in advance. But the amount of money that we spend to educate kids in the district in other places, for whatever reason, it's been determined we don't have the capability of educating the child. The child has to be educated in a different district, and we get charged for that. Where is that represented in the budget? And do you have a sense of how much we're spending on that, and then whether that's a change from, say, past years? Are we paying more in terms of that, or less, or so on and so forth?
Are you referring to the special education non-public school children?
These would be situations where we have a behavioral issue and a kid is going to be educated at a different school. Or,
So yes. Okay. So that's reflected on the restricted side. That's in the special education
Okay.
resource. It would impact the unrestricted side by the contribution being larger. I don't have the number on whether or not our MPS kids increased this year or not. I know that's something that Israel and James Barnes are working on, and that is that usually is part of my projections in the out years also, because they age out of those schools after 22. So if I know that there's somebody that we're going to reduce 1-2 children next year, then I will budget for that. But yeah, that's where it's at.
What I will say, she's absolutely right, and they are looking at that. There are costs that I think we're trying to get that house in order. I've talked about a technology budget. I've talked about a deferred maintenance budget, right? $44,000 to trim trees that are dying that might fall is not in our budget, right? And these things come up, and I can't use bond dollars to trim trees. So we need to create a budget that is sound and solid and has plenty of money. We live on the coast side. The elements of this is new to me, right? The elements that the coast side brings, although it's beautiful, does provide some other issues. And just in the last, I don't know, Jennifer, in the last month or so, when Jaime and you had approached me and said, we've got to cut these trees down, they're dying, right? We've got to take care of the cunha trees that are in the net, otherwise they're going to rip the net, and the net, we have to pay for the net on top of trimming the trees. These are maintenance things that we haven't budgeted. We haven't been able to get out in front of it. As I've talked to my staff, let's get out in front of it. Let's make sure we have, and they have tree trimming schedules. We have property up at El Granada, got property up at Los Lomitos that we've got to make sure we maintain. We just received information about fire insurance everywhere in California, fire insurance. So all these things are hitting us at the same time, right? So like I said, I want to get out in front of it, get the house in order, and make sure we have things that we need to make sure that in the future years to come, we're set. We've got $100,000. We don't use $100,000. Fantastic. We just save it for the following year because we know that we're going to need to do trees. And we're working with Supervisor Bueller. He's been open to, hey, what do you need? Just put it in writing, put it there. So we are working with other agencies to say there's a cost added to doing business in Cabrillo that I'd never experienced in Buena Park or at the county office in Orange. So there are other things that just come and go that we aren't expecting.
So in terms of the MPS, I understand that to a certain extent you really can't, you can budget for that a little bit, but it is what it is. You just have to spend that money. Yes. But I am interested in trying to get a better sense of how much are we spending, how does that compare to other years, and at what point do we then invest in starting a program so that we can educate more of those kids? There's a balance there. And I just want to have a better sense of what that is, because that's something that a year into this, that was a big learning curve for me. I was completely unaware that districts did that. And so I want to learn more about that.
Okay, we can bring that more
Thank you.
information.
Anyone have any more questions or comments? No? Rosie, can we bring it up to vote, please?
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. This item passes 5+2.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes, thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate it. Next item is item 5, communications. 5A, the board is committed to maintaining a respectful and productive environment that fosters a culture of civility where staff, the community, and the board feel safe to express themselves and are free from bullying, harassment, and threats. The board welcomes your comments and requests that you express yourself accordingly. All members wish to speak should complete a comment card and hand it to the executive assistant, which is Rosie, to the superintendent prior to the introduction of the item. Members wishing to address the board are all allowed at 3 minutes per speaker, but this may be reduced depending on the number of speakers for item. The total time for public comments shall not exceed 20 minutes. Please note that the speaking time cannot be delegated to another person. As reminder, CUSD Governing Board does not act upon non-agendized matters under limited circumstances as permitted by the bylaw. Matters raised during the public comments will be referred to staff for further examination and action where appropriate. So next is 5B, employee organization reports. First up is CUTA, Cabrillo Unified School Association representative.
Good evening. Education continues to be in the news lately, and challenges are constantly changing, evolving. From the teacher side of things, we have a lot of reasons to be grateful. For starters, we're very excited. Our brethren in Western Contra Costa County were able to resolve their strike and work out a better compensation package with their school district. We know that there are other battles going on here in the Bay Area with other teacher unions. We're very grateful that the district is planning to seriously evaluate the kindergarten and TK programs, and that they are willing to listen to our side and our input on this issue at our most recent negotiation session. We're grateful that teacher input into these programs will continue to be considered. It is a really important issue, and we're excited to work together to meet the developmental needs of those students. As you know, it seems like every year seems to be a negotiations year. As the cost of living goes up, including healthcare premiums, we're thankful that those are items under discussion at our bargaining table. We're sincerely hoping that we can join with the full district negotiation team next week and come to an agreement on compensation moving forward. It's important that teacher salaries and health insurance meet the needs of our membership, and then we can continue to use that to recruit and retain talented teachers. Of course, it's always fun to talk about money when everybody seems to be talking about money at the meeting. But as we know, the cost of everything goes up, and the cost of everything goes up for us too. So I wish you all the happiest of holidays with your families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is California School Employees Association, CSEA representatives. Okay, no one's here. Okay, so next is item 6, consent agendas. We will now consider the consent agendas. The items on the consent agendas are a routine nature and will be approved together unless board members request to remove an item for individual discussion. So, Dr. Miramontes, would you?
We don't do discussion.
Oh, we don't do
for
any discussion?
consent
Okay,
items.
can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Rosie?
So we need to do roll call for consent agenda. Lisette? Pete,
Aye.
Brianna,
Aye.
Mary Beth,
Aye.
Carmen,
Aye.
Maverick, Martin, passes 5+2.
Moving on, item 7, governing board reports. Next, we will move on to the governing board reports. Let us begin with the reports from the board members. Does anyone have any updates to share?
Yes. Well, a few of us went to the California School Board Association Annual Education Conference last week. It was my first one, and I'm very grateful that we got to go. Workshops, an overwhelming amount of workshop options that you get to choose from subject matter experts. It was just very eye-opening. I continue to learn more and more in this role, and being able to discuss and talk and learn about other boards and school districts within California is incredible. And I was very excited to be able to exchange information with a few board members throughout the state, just, to keep in contact, see how their things doing, how they do things. That was wonderful. It was also kind of devastatingly shocking how polarizing people there were. And I know that Cabrillo has our issues and our pain points, but knowing that all of us are here for all of our children every day, and that our focus is making sure that every single one of our children are receiving an exceptional education and wellness. And I'm just so appreciative of who I get to sit next to and work with, and our staff and our teachers. And that part was eye-opening, and I'm just thankful. And then one other thing I wanted to touch on is construction, bond dollars. I don't want that to be something that divides us. We are a unified school district, and I really want to focus on all of our schools getting the best that we can with the money that we have. And I understand that there is history that might affect how you feel about how schools are being handled, or your school. For me, and I know our board members, all of the schools are our schools. I am associated with, through my children, El Granada and Cunha currently, but all of these are my schools. And choosing where to put bond dollars and money is a very hard decision for all of us, and we're all doing it very thoughtfully. And I want to make sure that as parents and community members, that the whole district and each project and the thoughtfulness that goes into it is taken into account, especially if you talk to each of us board members or ask questions. Please know that we are trying our best to make the best decision for the entire district and where everyone is in this stage right now. And that's my update.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just add on a little bit about that conference. It was great, and I think we were all pretty tired at the end. It's a lot of information to take in, even being on year 7. I learned so much. So anyway, I went 2 days early because I'm a state delegate as well. So I sat there 2 days longer. And so when they were complaining on Friday, I was like, I don't want to hear about it. But in the state delegate meeting, I was just blown away. It's a lot about what's going on at state level, legislation, things along that line. And there's just so many new laws, and there's lawsuits happening and laws are changing because of it. And you think, oh, it's such a good thing that this is happening. I heard that in 2024 there were 106 new laws for our school districts, and I thought, you're like, okay, they're making things better, but then you think, how do you implement all that? And, people are saying, what do the people in the district office do? Well, that's a big part of what they're doing. And it's amazing how, down to the little detail it is. Like, you need to tell parents this by the second week of school, and you need to have this many minutes of this instruction. It's just, there's a lot of little stuff to it. And in addition to that, there's a lot of different entities that are all trying to make our state system work well. We've got the state legislature doing the laws. We've got the SBE, the State Board of Education. There's the CDE, the California Department of Ed, the CCEE, the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, the CTC, the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, and it's a lot of stuff going on. One thing I wanted to mention about all the stuff that goes on is that I know that our district staff all spend a lot of time doing reporting that's required by the state, and CSBA has been working with the legislature to try to reduce the number of the reports that are needed and try to be like, do you really need this? Is someone really using this? And if it's not, this has been a multi-year project, trying to slim it down a little bit. So that's still ongoing. So it was a great time. I'm glad we got to go. I'm glad we got to go as a group. It was nice to kind of bond with everyone and become a team. So I'm grateful that we were able to go. So thank you for that. The second thing I wanted to talk about, and I decided this might be a good time to talk about it tonight, was our officer rotation. and I'm not saying we should change it. No shade to you, Lizette, talking about this. But I just wonder if it's worth looking at how we do it, because using myself as an example, so I'm going into my 8th year, and I've been president once, and there is I could be going years and years and years without being, I think the soonest I could be president again is year 11 of my term. So I just wonder if it's, not that I'm dying to be president, but I do wonder if it's worth, it's like skewed towards new members, and if we have a lot of turnover, I don't know how long it could be before someone gets a second time to be president. So I feel like it's kind of not fair if you do stick around for a lot of time. So I wonder if we should look at it. And another thing about it is, really a major part of our job is building consensus with each other for whatever we want to do. And maybe it becomes something where you get consensus if you want to be the president or vice president, or, instead of just doing a rotation. So I just thought this was a good time to bring it up, because we're doing that right now. And I don't know if we want to look at that, but just think about it. When you read the policy, think about implications. That's all I have. Thank you.
I'm glad you mentioned the thing about appreciating all the education laws, because it can be overwhelming, and I think that is something that maybe the district doesn't fully appreciate in terms of things our staff has to deal with on an ongoing basis. So I appreciate that. I first want to apologize. I didn't get a chance to meet with Dr. Miramontes today because we had to make a quick trip to the emergency room with my daughter. She's fine, but so we didn't get the chance to touch base on a number of things that people have approached me about in the last month or so. And so I just want to quickly touch base on that, just so people have an understanding that I'm hearing you, and we are going to bring up these issues. There's a couple things that I've heard from multiple people. One is sort of behavior issues at Hatch and El Granada. That is not something that the board would get involved in on a day-to-day basis. People do have concerns on I would say, a philosophical level in terms of how we approach that issue. So that's something that I want to get a better sense of, like, how do we approach it? And how do we make decisions in terms of when do we step in, when do we not? And then another thing that people approached me about recently are the reading issues. So the test scores, we've talked about that. And then to get a better sense of what is our plan long-term for that. We have a relatively new curriculum. How are the teachers responding to that? So I want to get a better sense of that. And those are two things that I don't know anything about. So I just want to express that we'll be talking about that. You mentioned bond dollars. I'm glad you did. That's another thing. I had somebody who is heavily involved in our school district pull me aside recently who never does that. expressed concern that Hatch is not getting its fair share. I shared that with you. And so what I'd like to do with the five of us, and just in this moment, is sort of open up this idea that maybe what we ought to do is have a conversation about how we want to approach that as a district. Because I think all of the school sites have legitimate claims in terms of what they need in this particular case in terms of fields. The general sense at the Hatch community is that we got left behind. The improvements at Hatch did not include that field. Other people have this opinion that that was because that was the site for the teacher housing, and so then the district didn't invest in it. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea. But in general, I think the five of us should come together and think about it's not that El Granada should get something that the other school sites shouldn't or whatever, but we should be thinking about it comprehensively about what do these school sites need, and then think about how we can invest those bond dollars. So at a future board meeting, I'd like to have that conversation with the five of us to see where we stand. Because as a reminder to the people, we cannot talk except for here. So these types of things would be helpful if we could have that kind of conversation.
We do have a board retreat.
Yeah.
January something, 11th. I don't.
Another thing we could also look at, and once again, it's taking, people have to commit to come, but we could do study sessions if there is
I would love
something.
that.
So there is something, so sometimes, but we would have to consciously know that we have to dedicate the time and show up for the study session.
Yeah. Because I know your team's worked on that and is a good recommendation for, in my opinion, in terms of what we should do with El Granada. But we should have a general sense of how we want to approach this.
And so we've talked a little bit about the facility master plan.
Yeah.
Has to be updated every 5 years. Drew's putting that together now, right? So we can see where the gaps are at each school site. And then we can come to the board with a recommendation that's fair and equitable across the board. Fair doesn't mean equal, right? So I want to make sure that's very clear. I know we have neglected, no one's fault, and I don't use those words lightly, but the high school, we walked every single, and I give this board props, we walked every single campus across the district to see the conditions that our schools are in, and they're in much better hands now, right? And I give Jen and Drew and Roger and everybody else that has had a hand in it of doing that, but the facilities master plan really is the key to providing you where we are, what the gaps are. All our elementary schools, including Little Kings Mountain, the turf areas that they play on are not great. I'm just going to be straight out, right? Again, it's the climate where we live, and what can we do to make them better?
And then the last thing I just wanted to bring up is there's a great piece in the Atlantic this week about public education and the perception of public education, and it's a very negative view. It's essentially like public education can never work. That it's that we just have to accept that it's always going to not work. And that is like this prevailing, this was an opinion piece. So it was like the prevailing opinion of a segment of the American population that they've just given up hope on public education. And so to me, not surprisingly, it made me think of our time here on the board and the district. And again, the absolute importance of making sure we do communication right and transparency, because we are constantly fighting the battle of showing our community that we were up for this task, that that we're doing what we need to do, and that people should invest in us. So just a reminder, and I thought I would mention it here. Thank you.
Pete, Carmen?
Yeah, thank you. I went to the AEC with the rest of the board, and that was lovely. It was, I ditto what everybody was saying. It was, we were, I'll share that we went to a candidate forum for the California gubernatorial election, and there was a gentleman saying some really alarming things, and the number of people cheering for him was frightful, terrifying. Yeah, these are the words I'm catching. Anyway, so yeah, there is a lot of communication to be done. And anyway, but thank you for everybody for being here, and That's all I'm saying.
I just, first off, I want to thank you, Carmen, for leading us, and I just also want to remind everybody that even though I am the board president, I am just one of you four or us five, and anything that is that needs to be spoken to, we're open to doing study sessions, because I know that we do have the Brown Act where it's hard for us to all communicate regarding one topic, and it is important for us, all of us, to, even though we have different opinions and even though we come from different backgrounds and we all come from a different perspective. At the end of the day, that's what the board is. We are here as one, and we're here to do this for the kids and whatever is in their best interest. Like Dr. Miramontes said, it's not always equal, but it's about being fair. And I also want to thank you, Dr. Miramontes, and the district for allowing us to go to CSBA. I learned a lot. Even though I've been here 7 years, I've only gone once, and that was my very first year. And the experience was very different. So I have to say thank you for making this such a great experience. I really appreciate, the flexibility. The workshops were very helpful to collaborate and to meet people and just to learn different perspectives, like Brianna said, and where people are in their districts and compare. And more than anything, because of the Brown Act, it was a nice kind of way to just kind of know each other on a different level that is not in the board, and seeing that we have great taste in the same type of pajamas and things like that. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. And I also want to thank the student board members for being here. I know you guys have a long day, and especially this week for the high school, you guys are on your finals. And thank you, Maverick, for coming back with that feedback. So really appreciate it, and I think that's something we could continue to work on for sure. And because maybe some kids would want some kind of incentive, and others, like you said, some would want to look into the option of having extra credit. So for the purpose of kind of making this better and having a better participation from the students, I think it is something to worth looking to, and have more conversations regarding this. And thank you, Martine, for being here. I have to say, you guys, I mean, the fact that you guys hike, and living in there's so many things I haven't seen. So you guys are exposed to like the coast, and I found it funny. They have binoculars and they go to Devil Slide, and there was like this piece of metal that they swore it was like a dead body, and I just thought it was hilarious. But it was just cool to see that you guys are exposed, and that you guys even have the opportunity to have that support to go to like DMV appointments that are not as accessible to some students as it is to others. So the fact that it showed you and all the people that went what you need, how to prepare for it, and just the exposure of being in DMV is, it's important. So I'm so glad that your teachers support you in that, and you guys have that kind of experience. And I think that is it. Nada más rápidamente, quiero darle las gracias al superintendente y al distrito por darnos la oportunidad de reunirnos en la conferencia de Sacramento. Gracias, Rosy, por hacer todos los arreglos y darnos buen hospedaje y lugar. Y no todos tuvieron la misma suerte que nosotros. Muchas gracias por siempre tenernos en mente, y aprendimos mucho, colaboramos mucho y fue una buena oportunidad para que todos nos conociéramos en una forma más personal, más de comunidad que más que nada. Y le quiero decir a los demás de los miembros de la mesa directiva es de que si alguna vez hay algo que necesitamos, aunque yo soy el presidente, yo nada más soy una de 5 personas, y si hay alguna vez un tema, algo que necesiten, que sientan que es importante, siempre estamos dispuestos a tocar ese tema y a ver cómo podemos comunicarnos más. Y le quiero dar las gracias a los muchachos aquí de la High School de Pilarcitos y de la High School de aquí de Half Moon High por estar aquí. Yo sé que los Maverick esta semana tienen las finales, o por estar aquí. Muchísimas gracias, Martín. Gracias por estar aquí y gracias por representar tu escuela, porque por mucho tiempo tu escuela no fue representada, y creo que hacen muchas cosas muy importantes, muy valorosas y cosas que de verdad les ayudan a los alumnos en esa escuela. So, gracias. Es divertido ver cómo decoran a los ponies y y ven cosas que piensan que no, con los binoculares que están expuestos al paisaje y a la belleza que estamos rodeados, que a veces no nos damos cuenta qué bonito está nuestra área y no tenemos esa oportunidad. So, gracias a tus maestros por todo el apoyo que les dan, y más que nada quiero decirle, ya eso era todo. Creo que ya fue todo, Rosy, ¿no? Trato de traducir, pero a veces no me sale. Eso es todo. So,
I forgot one thing, and that maybe you could also then say in Spanish, is that the Familias Unidas meeting, and I believe it's with high school and Cunha, is December 17th at 6. I'm not sure where, if it's at the high school or Cunha.
It's usually at the high school library.
Yeah,
I
but
might be
Cunha,
wrong.
okay,
Because
but I do,
they are doing it together.
both, yes, but that, okay, look out for it, but Wednesday, December 17th, 6 to 7:30 PM, Mr. Guzman and Mr. Aguilar are hosting Familias Unidas next week.
Lo que nos quiso recordar Brianna era que el 17 de diciembre a las 6 de la tarde va a haber una junta de Familias Unidas, que realmente es algo nuevo, es algo un poquito diferente que las conferencias de ILAC y DILAC, y este diciembre va a ser el 17 de diciembre a las 6 de la tarde con el señor Guzmán y el señor Aguilar de la high school y de la Cuña, y no sabemos exactamente dónde va a ser, pero si alguna persona tiene algún interés y puede hablarle a la escuela, preguntar, y como siempre nos pueden preguntar si nos ven en la tienda o cualquier otro lugar. Nosotros nos estaremos informando. Gracias. And now I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent.
Thank you. Just a couple of things to highlight. First of all, I want to just say happy holidays to our school site staff and district office personnel. Just enjoy. I know we got 1 week left. Enjoy yourselves, rest and relax, and thank you for what you do. Second, CSBA, for these guys, it's a great opportunity for them to learn. It's their professional development. For superintendents, I'm coming from the other foot. It's like herding cats from 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night of just not entertainment, but making sure that they're well taken care of, because they really, really are important. It starts with the governance team. So thank you for being there. And again, thank you, Rosie, for all the coordination on your end being there. I do want to thank Jen and her team. And I know Israel had a piece of the first interim as they're going back and forth monitoring what we're doing. So thank you for that. That was a great report, and there's a lot of work to be done on our end as well. Public education, right? You can smell. Nothing's ever perfect, right? I try and make my mom's albondiga soup, and I think she's the only one that can make it perfectly. Mine's getting really close, but nothing is ever perfect. But I will say, I'm going to point out two things that in the last month or so that I'm super proud of. Happened to be at a couple of basketball games here at Cunha Middle School watching our students compete. Yesterday, the girls played another school, wasn't sure what quite school it was, and we were spanking them, and the other team had finally scored 2 points, and our girls were really proud of them. They were like, oh, God, I think they were also looking for the shutout, but it wasn't like, they were really good sportsmen. Today, I got to see the 7th grade boys for a little bit play against the 7th grade boys. 2 teams playing against each other, Cunha versus Cunha. And it was a lot of collegial, competitive conversations, or I should say competition going back and forth. Again, sportsmanship, respect for each other, no trash talking. It was good things. And that's the things that we have to highlight in public education. The last thing is, I do want to highlight, we've got 2 incredible schools here for students to graduate with. We've got Half-Moon Bay High School, and we have Piracitos. So for those of you that might not know it, and I know Martin knows, and I know school knows, but I want to highlight the good things in public education. We happen to be invited to a dinner at CFW, one of our partners that works with us, and we had nominated one of our students, and Martin Juarez was selected amongst many to receive an award to continue his opportunity and his career. And so I just want to highlight the good work that Martin he's been steadfast here, advocating for students at Piracitos and still supporting Half-Moon Bay High School, right? So Martin, thank you this is what public education is all about, right? And so I want to thank you for the work that you do, and we want to make sure that you said your parents were away right now, right? We want to make sure your parents are here and your teachers are here when we provide this community recognition to you, because you are a leader in the community. I want to thank you for that. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, Martin. We were really loud when they called your name in our district, and everybody tried to mimic us, but they didn't get close. They didn't get close. We were all there.
It's kind of hard to see, but Martin's name is the third one from the top 2.
That was the screen that was posted all through the restaurant reception area. Yeah. And then they said Martin, and they said Cabrillo, and we said, "Woo!"
I said that at 9:30. Yeah, I got sent that exact image at 9:30 p.m. on Thursday, and I was so confused, and then I realized what it was and was very happy.
Okay, congratulations.
Yes, and you really deserved your churro that you got from your teachers. Martin was given the option to something that he wanted because of the scholarship he won, and he went to get a churro at Three Amigos.
It was well deserved.
It was definitely well deserved. Yes.
I think we were the only district that cheered for Martin.
They all after that they wanted to, but no. Yes, we did. Thank you, ladies. All right, moving on. We will move on to closed session, item 8, and identification of closed session topics. So we will be, right, that's it. We're adjourning to closed session.
So we don't.